Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP. So with that being said, let's just dive on in and let's start off with this. So we just seen this article come up on the overall timeline, and we do see US central bank eyeing digital dollar to counter BRICS pay. Listen, as we look at what's happening here, do you guys see the problem? One of the biggest things that I have been saying is that they are creating the problem. Everything that we are seeing is manipulation of the general public in order for them to sell them the solution. I said this going all the way back to August. The end of August, I said, breaking, South Africa's leader confirms that the BRICS have reached agreement on the expansion process. We have reached agreement on the guiding principles, standards, criteria, and procedures of the BRICS expansion process. This is from South Africa's leader themselves. We do see significant changes in motion. Too many are blinded by the false idea of de-dollarization and the downfall of the US to see the real play at hand. We are seeing a complete realignment of our global financial system. Remember that the United Nations, dating all the way back to 2019, said that they are pushing for a new global reserve regime based on a supranational currency made up of a basket of developed nation currencies. Do you think it's a coincidence that we are now seeing a financial war beginning? How many articles have we been, seeing get posted this year talking about how de-dollarization and the death of the US dollar is happening right now? Problem, reaction, solution. This is all part of the game. I have mentioned this countless times. We are witnessing the beginning of the new system dominated by digital utility assets. I hope you have been focused on the real picture because listen, as we look at their plan in place, everything has aligned perfectly. Creating the big problem. Look at the conflicts that are happening. It's all based around this. It's based around that. Oh, look at now we are seeing financial weapons being created, aka we're seeing the BRICS talking about a gold-backed digital currency and this and that. How is the US ever going to compete? Well, guess what? When we look at what is actually happening here, it's all manipulation. It's to play on the emotions of the general public so that they could sell them the dream. And the dream is, hey, look it, we need a digital dollar to counter this. We need this right now. And that's when, of course, we see the launch of it. But within this, we see a few things. With the changing tides of international trade, the US Central Bank is reportedly eyeing the creation of a digital dollar as the BRICS Economic Alliance unveiled its BRICS Pay system. Indeed, Federal Reserve official Michael Barr discussed the status of a central bank digital currency and the Fed's potential recommendation to the U.S. Central Bank. Specifically, he noted that no recommendation has been made. However, he also discussed the need for the agency to continue learning from both domestic and international experimentation to aid in the eventual decision. Moreover, the BRICS Economic Alliance has noted two massive developments in the area of digital finance. And here we have the US set to consider the digital dollar amid BRICS advancements. And here we have this year has been a prominent one for the BRICS Economic Alliance as it has experienced impressive growth. Despite the 6-country expansion it agreed to during its 2023 summit, it has also greatly expanded its influence. Subsequently, its multipolar hopes have seemingly found renewed international fervor. And again, I keep telling you guys that this has been their plan all along. The BRICS have been the power play for CBDCs. And the reason why I know this is because of what has happened from the time that we launched the sanctions on Russia, and even the next day, 24 hours later, what we got the next day, which I will talk to you guys about here in a second. But here we have now the US Central Bank is eyeing the creation of a digital dollar amid the arrival of BRICS Pay. Specifically, Federal Reserve official Michael Barr discussed the development and the Fed's recommendation. Moreover, he discussed the value of learning from whom the technology is rapidly advancing. And here we have learning from both domestic and international experimentation can aid decision makers in understanding how we can best support responsible innovation that safeguards the safety and efficiency of the U.S. payment system. Additionally, he noted that the agencies continue to gather results from domestic and international initiatives on CBDCs. So outside of this, right? Why am I believing the fact that all of this is tied to their significant plan to give us CBDCs? Well, because listen, go back to when we seen sanctions. On March 8th, 2022, US President Joe Biden ordered a ban on imports of oil, gas, and coal from Russia to the US. Also, we've seen the same exact day Shell announced its intention to withdraw from the Russian hydrocarbons industry. During this entire time, we've seen sanctions launching. 24 hours later, we've seen Executive Order 14067 launched, ensuring responsible development of digital assets. This was March 9th of 2022. This is 1 day after the sanctions got completely announced. And they even talk about the crypto market here and how the assets combined market capitalization was $3 trillion in November of 2021. And then we've seen monetary authorities globally are also exploring and in some cases introducing CBDCs. Now, within this executive order, they literally outline their goals regarding an actual CBDC and their plans in place. Here you guys have them essentially confirming the fact that in order for the US to retain leadership in the global financial system, they need to be competitive on this front with digital assets. We must reinforce United States leadership in the global financial system and in technological and economic competitiveness, including through the responsible development of payment innovations and digital assets. The US has an interest in ensuring that it remains at the forefront of responsible development and even design of digital assets and the technology that underpins new forms of payments and capital flows in the international financial system, particularly in setting standards that promote democratic values, the rule of law, privacy, the protection of consumers, investors, and businesses, and interoperability with digital platforms, legacy architecture, and international payment systems. The U.S. derives significant economic and national security benefits from the central role that the U.S. dollar and the U.S. financial institutions and markets play in the global financial system. Continued United States leadership in the global financial system will sustain United States financial power and promote U.S. economic interest. I'm telling you guys right now, they are literally preparing for this. And also, we must promote access to safe and affordable financial services. Many Americans are underbanked and the cost of cross-border money transfers and payments are high. They already had all of this in place. Their plan of action is already starting and beginning. CBDCs are also their full focus as well. We even see down here, sovereign money is at the core of a well-functioning financial system. Macroeconomic stabilization policies and economic growth. My administration places the highest urgency on research and development efforts into the potential design and deployment options of a US CBDC. This was literally 24 hours after the sanctions on Russia. They created the problem. They have been creating these problems and they already have the solution. The solution here is the CBDC, the digital dollar. I keep telling you guys that the plan is already in place, yet a lot of people are still kind of confused on how all of this is even correlated. Did digital assets, CBDCs, the entire plan is already here. All you need to do is do a little bit of research or even just read into what their actual plan of action is. Their plan of action is to implement a CBDC. We are seeing 93% of central banks already implementing or designing or even in development phases of a CBDC. This is happening. It's inevitable. And we even seen Michael Barr just recently, shout out to 801_XRP. I have to speed this video up 1.5x because it is over 7 minutes long. I'm hoping to shed some time off of it, but this is a very significant video because we actually see him talking a little bit about what's happening within the system architecture. We do see our research is currently focused on end-to-end system architecture, such as how ledgers that record ownership and transactions in digital assets are to maintain secured and verified, as well as tokenization and custody models. No XRP nor Ripple were mentioned at all, but it is still very significant because we do get a little bit of an in-depth view on their plan of action here. Listen closely.
Positions in his career, he served key roles in both the Clinton and Obama administrations. Please join me in welcoming Vice Chair Barr to the podium.
Thanks, Mark. It's really a pleasure to be here. One of the downsides of being here, however, is I got to look at the agenda and realize that I couldn't stay and listen to any of the papers. It looks like just an extraordinary conference, a great group of papers and discussants, and I'm sure your first day was really interesting, and today looks very interesting as well. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to welcome you for the second day of this conference. This is obviously a time of great change and great promise for the payment system. The Federal Reserve plays multiple roles in the payment system, including as a supervisor of banks and financial market utilities, and as an operator of some key components of payments infrastructure. The research done by experts, including those in this room, is vital in helping us to understand what works well in the payment system and what can be done to improve it. We introduced the FedNow service in July to facilitate secure and convenient instant payments. We developed FedNow in response to a growing demand for instant payments from both households and businesses. 100 years ago, the Fed facilitated payments by moving checks across the country by train. FedNow represents new rails by which payments can keep pace with today's businesses and consumers. The Federal Reserve has now made these rails available. Banks can build on this infrastructure to provide better services for households and businesses. It's hard to speak about payments innovation without mentioning the increased experimentation with new payments technologies, such as stablecoins and central bank digital currencies, happening in the private and public sectors, both in the United States and around the world. As this work proceeds, we must carefully weigh the benefits and risks of different uses of these new technologies. Stablecoins, as I have said in other remarks, need to be well regulated. When an asset is pegged to a government-issued currency, it's a form of private money. When that asset is also used as a means of payment and a store of value, it borrows the trust of the central bank. So the Federal Reserve has a strong interest in ensuring that any stablecoin offering operate within an appropriate federal prudential oversight framework, so they do not threaten financial stability or payment system integrity. We have also provided guidance to the banks that we supervise on how they should engage with their supervisors when considering use of these products. In terms of central bank digital currencies, we continue to speak to a broad range of stakeholders and to conduct basic research in emerging technologies that might support a CBDC payments backbone or for other purposes in the existing payment system. Our research is currently focused on end-to-end system architecture, such as how ledgers that record ownership of and transactions in digital assets are maintained, secured, and verified, as well as tokenization and custody models. This research helps us to consider how we could design a digital analog to the paper banknote that permits a transfer of value between two parties without direct facilitation by the issuing central bank. It is important to note, however, that while the Federal Reserve supports further research and continued engagement with a broad range of stakeholders, the Fed has made no decision on issuing a CBDC. And as Chair Powell has emphasized, we would only proceed with clear support from the executive branch and authorizing legislation from Congress. With this in mind, learning from both domestic and international experimentation can aid decision makers in understanding how we can best support responsible innovation that safeguards the safety and efficiency of the U.S. payment system. We'll hear more about the results for some of these domestic and international initiatives on CBDCs later today. International collaboration and coordination are often essential in payment systems, as we heard in John Cunliffe's keynote yesterday. In 2020, the G20 governments endorsed a roadmap for enhancing cross-border payments, aimed at making them faster, cheaper, more transparent, and more accessible globally. The Federal Reserve supports and continues to work with the international community on these issues, and I look forward to our ongoing engagement with stakeholders, both public and private, on the path ahead. Closer to home, traditional payment methods are still the backbone of the U.S. payment system, despite the surge in interest in emerging payments technologies. It's important to continue to advance research in both new and older payment methods. Questions on the use of cash and the dynamics among the players in the debit card industry remain worthy of investigation, as is evident in the conference agenda. Earlier this week, the board proposed revisions to the interchange fee cap for debit card issuers as required by law. Public input is a key element of the rulemaking process for the Federal Reserve, and I look forward to reviewing the comments that we will receive on the proposed revisions. I also appreciate the opportunity for Federal Reserve staff to engage with the broader scholarly community on this and other topics, as research is an important component for our consideration of regulatory actions. Engagement with researchers, stakeholders, and the public will help the Federal Reserve continue to support a safe and efficient payment system, which has been part of our mission since the Fed's establishment in 1913. Finally, whether we talk about traditional or emerging payments technologies in the public or private sector, innovation must proceed in a way that respects fundamental principles for serving the public good. Payments innovation should support and promote broad access and financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is affected by many factors, but too often the cost of payment services is prohibitive and represents a barrier that limits access for low and moderate income households and small businesses. I'm pleased to see that so many of the topics covered in this conference touch on factors that affect financial inclusion, issues of cost, trust, privacy, and security, among others. In conclusion, I want to thank the organizers for putting together this forum, and I look forward to further engagement. Thank you all for being here and giving us the opportunity to learn from you and from your research. Thank you very much.
And there you guys have it. And listen, as we see these individuals talking, like Michael Barr, for an example, we need to look at the connections here. I always say that Ripple is a pillar in this new system because I strongly believe it. I could speculate all day long, but we do know that Ripple has already had significant connections to some of these individuals, like Michael Barr, for example. Going all the way back to 2015, he was a major leader around Ripple. He was the former treasury at that time, but now he is working at the Fed, and he did leave this position at Ripple, I think about roughly a year or two ago. But this was a significant position held by him at Ripple, and we even see that I'm excited to be joining the advisory board of Ripple Labs. Our global payment system is badly outdated. I think innovation in payments can help make the financial system safer, reduce costs, and improve access and efficiency for consumers and businesses alike. Again, even during that time, we were starting to kind of see the vision unfold, but now things are accelerating with new standardization being implemented, new financial architecture being implemented as well, like FedNow, for example. And all of this is really kind of tied back to the overall center point, which is, yes, we are seeing a significant move around the traditional financial world to this new world of finance. And even over here, shout out to Anderson, this goes all the way back to 2021, by the way. There was over 40 or 50 central banks involved in this major event. This was a swell event, I'm pretty sure. But here we have Ripple hosts world central banks to explore next generation of payments. This was back in 2017. When you see, look at the big picture, Ripple working with central banks for years, 50 of them, holding meeting for central banks along with the IMF. Keynote speaker at the first swell was Ben Bernanke. And we also do see ECB, Fed, World Economic Forum, plus many more at the recent swell. BIS meeting, private XRP ledger for CBDCs, come on. And also, they just recently joined the BIS's cross-border payments CPMI group. But also beyond this, we also do see over here from October 17th, 2017, ex-Fed Reserve Chair Ben Bernanke lauds Ripple, says Bitcoin will be squashed by governments. He is bullish on Ripple and blockchain payments, but says Bitcoin will be squashed by governments if it ever grows too large. And then also over here, the Fed, the Bank of England, and Japan are very supportive of these technologies because they'll improve payment systems. He said adding blockchain will be especially effective in expediting cross-border payments. Then also over here, he praised Ripple, which provides blockchain software to banks and has its own native currency known as XRP for working with regulators. And then also over here we have Bernanke's comments came in the context of a larger discussion of banking and economics with Gene Sperling, a former director of the National Economic Council and advisor to the presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. And here we have, he also observed that a blockchain style system might have averted last year's debacle in which hackers exploited the SWIFT money transfer system to rob over $80 million from the central bank of Bangladesh. So again, as we look at everything happening here, we know that Ripple has become sort of an undercover massive player in the financial system. And a lot of people still think that, hey, we're just conspiracy theorists. We're just, maxis of XRP. We're this, that, whatever. Listen, at the end of the day, I understand the original focus of crypto to replace this old traditional system and be this new decentralized world of finance for everyone to really kind of take part of it. But listen, when you look at the creation of Bitcoin, go look at all of the players that were tied to Bitcoin initially on in the early days. So to me personally, I don't think that Bitcoin was created by some, citizen that wanted to free the traditional world of finance and, completely cut off government control from money. No, that's not the original viewpoint of it. I know that everyone thinks that that's the original viewpoint, but in my opinion, all of this has been planned since the inception of crypto. And even when you look at some of the leaders behind Ripple, like David Schwartz, going all the way back to the 1980s, where we've seen patents regarding blockchain technology, the XRP ledger and things like that, and DLT, it really kind of pinpoints to the fact that all of this has been in place forever. And a lot of the problems that have happened in well over the last couple decades, for example, like the 2008 crisis, right? 2008 was a major accelerant for crypto to be implemented and launch. And that's why right after 2008, we've seen Bitcoin, which again, a lot of people still think, well, it was created to avert the problems that 2008 had. But in my opinion, as we really kind of look at a lot of these big issues happening, the 2008 crisis, all of the concern regarding, BRICS and things like that, it really is all to paint this specific picture that retail is supposed to see in order for them to support what the government wants to do, which right now, globally, we already know that governments are planning the CBDC. So with that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Peace out.